Mute like this. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. This is the Ohio State Grand Prix for the 2024 U.S. Pro Kart Series season, round 4 of 5, and it is a nice and cool Sunday morning here in August in Batavia, Ohio. There was a look over at Josh Holtz and Jamie Saraki taking in the second group for KA100 Junior morning warm-ups. Right now we're following Diego Ardiles and Max Weiland, a train of about 4. That also has a Benham Abernathy in tow. Let's go back. We'll check in as well. Davin Roberts, Jackson Rolney, this class at 46 drivers on the entry list. The only driver not showing a time, obviously, is Marco Romero. Caleb, he had a scary moment yesterday at the end of the day. And unfortunately, I don't believe he'll be on the racetrack this morning.
Yeah, no, definitely not. He is here on site hanging out with some of his friends. But, yeah, an injury is going to put him out of contention for about 2 months just so he can fully recover. But he is okay. He is walking around the racetrack here today and having a good time in good spirits. So, unfortunately there for Marco Romero. Not going to be joining us on the racetrack here today, but is around the site. So, we'll probably catch up with him at some point later on today after that scary incident he had yesterday. But nonetheless, it's been a good morning so far here at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. A couple of sessions already getting underway, Xander, and a lot cooler than I guess what we're used to seeing, especially in the springtime, fall time, I should say, here that we're getting into. But very, very cool weather as one driver there off the racetrack, and that's one of the Holtz driver development machines. Abernathy
way
there.
Off there at the end of the back chute. And you can see all the morning dew burning off the tires, the mist going away pretty quickly from that go-kart. Now, speaking specifically with the KA100 Junior class, let's compare times right now. Typically this morning warm-up session on any weekend, the Sunday warm-up is usually one of the fastest, if not the fastest session of the weekend. Some drivers obviously will go with new tires. That could compound into it also. But more than anything else, the morning warm-up session is cool enough temperatures, but has the most amount of rubber buildup, so the rubber is grippy. It's not slippery. It's not slidey. No one has maybe too much grip in the from the heat in the track where they're biking on two wheels. It works good. The kart's free. And so when you run these sessions, when the track's so cold like this, tires cold, drivers obviously cold, but you're hoping to be just a little bit on the oversteer side, a little bit loose. And that's what's the goal here. But that said, that little bit of extra, oversteer where you can kind of let the rear axle spin freely and not get bound up, well, that's going to give us some pretty quick times. Now, in the combined session, a 58.76 is the quickest by Enzo Vidmontien. That's about a half second off what they were running at the end of the day yesterday. So, surprisingly enough, at this racetrack at least, the warm-up session not quicker than where they were on Saturday afternoon. Now, let's go back and compare from Saturday's warm-up, 58.33 as well. So the track has actually slowed down about 4 to 5/10 of a second based on what we're seeing in times. Granted, this session is still rolling, but, we're already basically to the checkered flag. 8 laps have been run. Enzo fastest here on the 895 TKG machine. Amador Martinez second quick. Travis Pettit third. Ty Fisher, Turner Brown, top 5 at the end of it all. So I expected one thing there, and we looked at the comparison on times, Caleb. I did not expect to see us go a bit slower here in the morning. But this is still only the third session, so maybe the track was a bit dirty and needed to get kind of cleaned off from anything that went on last night.
Yeah, no, and as well, longer warm-up sessions here this morning for all these drivers to kind of get well warmed up, try whatever last little bit of setup change or last little bit of whatever it is so they can, I guess try and get an upper hand for the main event later on today. So that's going to be something to look out for here. But your KA100 Senior drivers getting set to go out onto the racetrack now, getting led away. What looks to be Piercing there, going to be the driver to lead him out onto the racetrack. Ben Gaunt going by. Cooper Shipman out on the racetrack. Adam Fisher there as well. Emery Lida, Raheem Alibi, and a couple of others as well who were getting themselves in a contention. A.J. Myers, the big story out of this class yesterday. An issue at the end of heat race number 3. Going to have him start further back in the field there, unfortunately. So that's going to give the upper hand to Fernando Luque for starting third. And James Overback, the driver, is going to start on the pole position later on today.
KA100 Senior had a lot of attrition as the day went on, but that first heat race was, I think, the most fun to watch from the championship battle perspective because A.J. Myers and Cooper Shipman entered the weekend 53 points apart. Then the Magic Man qualified on the pole on Friday, got a 25-point boost to leap towards the points lead, and you could tell how much the two drivers did not want to let the other one beat them more than the rest of the ones that they were battling with in the pack. Ultimately, AJ got the heat win. Shipman crossed the line in fourth, and with the provisional results the way that they finished, it looked like it was less than about a 10-point difference between the top two in the title fight. Christian Miles entered the weekend with a third in the standings. He was unable to make it here. TB has still a representative in Luis Speck. We'll get to him later on in X30 Pro. Jesus Vasquez Jr. Here this weekend, or was fourth in the points coming into this weekend. And Cameron Weinberg was fifth, but a little bit of a ways back, 333 out of the lead. Had a good final heat on the Chad Dawkin racing machine, but he still needs really some more bad luck and rougher runs for Cooper Shipman and A.J. Myers. Both drivers have been at the pointy end of the field where they need to be and where the points have told us to expect them to be here this weekend. So, across the line for their first lap at speed and warm up. Let's see how warmed up Cooper Shipman is to start the day. Well, a bit slower than the first few drivers going by. The Magic Man to the top at a 59.80.
Mick Gabriel right behind him. A couple of other drivers moving up the field here as well. But in other news in this KA100 Senior class as well, Alan Isambard unfortunately out of contention here today and not going to race in the main event. A fractured hand at the end of heat race number 3 has definitely put him on the back foot here, and he won't be able to get away here today. So well wishes to Alan Isambard, who I believe is still on site here and giving last little bit of coaching to Steven Eisert as Eisert tries to come away with some hardware for the Sodi Racing USA team. And standout driver yesterday, Javier Herrera, a driver who's really quick as well. So we'll see how it goes for him here today, fighting with some of the veterans here. And for the first time today, and for the first time this weekend, everybody's going to be on the racetrack at the same time. So it's going to be a lot harder kind of to try and get away here.
It'll be a lot harder to get through the first lap clean, too. I mean, even though they were racing pretty hard and having some good battles yesterday, all of the K100 Senior races were between 17 to 18 or 16 go-karts on the racetrack, Caleb. It's a lot different, a lot tougher to get through that 1-2 complex when you have 40 of them going into the first corner. And the same for KA Junior. I mean, both of these divisions have been split in half since that first practice on Thursday for unofficial testing and, of course, official practice on the first thing Friday morning. Here's a look at Mick Gabriel, though, in the first of our 2 split groups. And we didn't get to talk too much about how cool it was for Mick to get the race win at the Badger State Grand Prix in Wisconsin a month ago. But the IAME International Final is the world-class event, the global world championships, if you will, for the IAME engines. Mick won a ticket to the IAME International Final by winning the KA100 Senior main in Wisconsin. So he got his first KA100 Senior national race win, and now he's going to get his first KA100 Senior international start later this year in October at the IAME International Final. There's also those finals tickets up for grabs for the champions in September in a number of divisions. I'm not sure exactly all of the classes that will have them. Typically, it is your X30 Juniors and Seniors. Sometimes, usually, there's a mini Swift ticket as well. I don't believe there's a micro division or a micro ticket. And I don't know for a fact whether or not the KA Masters class would have one. But the champs in the divisions, typically there's a couple of tickets IAME East puts up into the prize pool. We already know at least one of our Team USA representatives that'll be headed across the pond to the IAME International Final in 2024. And it's going to be quick Mick Gabriel. And yesterday, not so quick for Mick. They had some motor issues to kick off the morning in that first heat race. And he looks a little bit stronger here in warm-up, but as the time chart shows, he's actually still a little bit off. Even AJ fell off a little bit. How about Chris Harrower on that comp kart for Team Timmy Tech? He just caught up to that group with a bit of a toe lap there. He's gone quickest.
Yeah, good lap that time around for Chris Harrower. Like you said, a big toe for him, kind of giving him a really good lap and you know, all the draft that he needs on this back straightaway. So not too much wind here, but still very much in effect here for Harrower as he's going to try and set another lap behind Hernandez. And we'll see what it looks like when they cross the stripe this time around. On the inside there for Harrower, and he's able to get clear on Hernandez, so he'll get by that time by. And as well for Hernandez, sorry, that was Martinez, who, and speaking of Hernandez, teammate there to Martinez, he was really quick yesterday and definitely surprised a couple of us here and showing his pace and being up there and getting into the mix just like Herrera did and just like a couple of other drivers. Fernando Luque spoke to him yesterday. He's starting third, and, you know, after that big incident that he had earlier on this year and you know, a couple of months ago, he was saying that he's a lot more cautious on the race starts now around the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. He knows what can happen. He knows what can go wrong, and now he's kind of pushed that limit, and now he'd be more than happy to kind of tiptoe around the first corner.
I need to make a correction here, thanks to David Cole at ekartingnews.com. So not the IAME, was the IAME International Final first and foremost. It's the IAME Warrior Final rebranded to, but that's actually not where Mick's headed. The IAME Warrior Final, separate event. Mick is headed to an IAME France national event. In return, the IAME France Championship will be sending a driver to compete at the U.S. Pro Kart Series for a select event in 2025. So it's a driver exchange program. We saw that as well earlier this year mentioned for the Rotax Max Challenge with their X-Gel driver exchange program. They're sending a driver all the way to Japan to go race in Suzuka. And one of the Japanese drivers to come and race over here in the U.S. So we've got the same deal with the IAME France Series, and Mick Gabriel going over there. We'll have a French driver or a driver from the IAME France Series, doesn't have to be French origin, to come and race with the U.S. Pro Kart Series in 2025, which, as we watch Fernando Luque head out of the infield section, we don't know whether or not the series will return to MCC, but we do know where it will start. The first of the 4 dates, well, actually all 4 dates have been announced, but the first of the 4 locations for the 2025 U.S. Pro Kart Series season have been finalized. It will kick off at the World Center of Speed. Daytona International Speedway will host the U.S. Pro Kart Series for the very first time in sunny Central Florida during that spring break era in mid-March. On that second weekend of March is when it's slated to go. 3 locations to be determined. One, rumor mill seems to be kind of relatively set. The final 2, a lot of options. So We don't know exactly where they're all going to land, and nothing is official till pen meets paper for the contracts. But at least the contract signed, sealed, delivered, and made official yesterday that we're headed to Daytona Beach. And that track has only ever hosted, really, the WK Daytona Kart Week until this year, when the Cup Karts North America South Division Regional Championship went there on Memorial Day weekend at the end of May. And they're looking to obviously go back and potentially even bring maybe the CK&A Winter Nats or a national event there. Nothing's been confirmed on the Cup Karts North America schedule, but I can only imagine bringing the regional there was a feeler, a test to eventually try and bring a major CK&A race to Daytona. In the same way, this racetrack got its first kind of start with the Route 66 Sprint Series and the budding regional championship at the time, known as the Stars Championship Series. That has since amassed now 250 to 280 entries through its events here. And with those couple of series first coming through, then the Club Series building up a good local following here in Ohio. Now we've had all three major series roll through. Last year, the U.S. Pro Kart Series was the next one to join the MCC Kartplex roster. And then this year, this is the last of the touring events rolling through town. And pretty much everyone's headed to Batavia at some point or another. The SCUSA Pro Tour, the U.S. Pro Kart Series, obviously here this weekend, the Rotax Max Challenge Trophy East, the Stars Championship Series, the in-house club championship, and I'm sure there's more that have wanted to even add to the calendar. It's kept the whole crew busy.
Yeah, and I really never thought that I'd be in Ohio so much in 2024, in my entire life even. So it's pretty cool to see, being out here and coming to the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati week in, week out. I think this is about our 5th time here this year. We already have 2 national races. I was here for a club race earlier this year. And this is, I guess, the final time we'll be here in 2024. This, like David and Land called it earlier this year, the Augusta of karting, with all the greenery and all the scenery here as well. But I know, Sean Bailiff, track owner, wanting to improve his racetrack and improve his facilities as well. So we'll see how this plays out next year when a couple of other series look to come out and try and come back out here to Batavia, Ohio. But nonetheless, it's been a great weekend so far for James Overbeck, who's going to lead us away in this session. He's starting on the pole position tomorrow, so he's going to be one of the drivers to look out for here today. And James Overbeck, he got his maiden national victory here. So we'll see if he can repeat and make it 3 in a row and go back to back here this weekend. He's had a good weekend so far, starting on the pole position later on today, so he'll be one of the drivers to look out for as well. And then we look further in the field here. Lorenzo Kaufman's had a good weekend in the NRMS machine. And a couple of other drivers here as well. Eli Warren being in the top 5 in every single heat race. He has a race win here already in 2023. So we'll see how it looks for Eli Warren later on today when he tries to take the fight to A.J. Myers and company. Warren definitely been super sporty all weekend long, and expect to see him in the fight for the race win. A couple of other drivers. Finnegan Bailiff, only 14th in this morning warm-up session. He was out in the first group, but had to work his way into the pits early in that one. Not able to complete it, so unfortunate there for Finnegan. And Connor Ferris as well. Just something to miss on that Team Ferris racing machine, and hasn't had the pace that we're used to seeing him have. So unfortunate for Connor Ferris nonetheless, as he gets set across the stripe this time by. And we'll wait and look at the times here. Connor Ferris looking pretty sporty here this morning, 10th overall. And a couple of other drivers as well shuffling their way through. James Overbeck's 8th. Jose Carlos Hernandez in 10th. There's, I believe that's the 957 there on the racetrack. It kind of looked like Alan Isambard for a second, but obviously Isambard not going to be here this weekend and not going to be racing with us, unfortunately, after suffering a fractured hand there. So we wish him a speedy recovery. He is putting in laps, but I'm not sure if that's Alan or if that's a different driver here. So that is a 953 indeed. So we'll wait to get further confirmation on that from the Sodi Racing USA team. But we look back on session about to be completed here. 8 laps completed already for the second group, so getting pretty close here to the end.
While the second group starts to try and get closer to the benchmark set by the Magic Man, A.J. Myers. There's a look at the driver behind the wheel of Alan Isambard's kart. That is Ruben, the data guy for Sodi Racing USA, going out to get a little bit of data in the go-kart for morning warm-up. He obviously won't be racing. Alan out with the injury. But one driver that is in and led the championship coming into this weekend is Cooper Shipman. Cooper, let's go ahead and chat with you a little bit about kind of how your Saturday went. Started off, and you and AJ were throwing haymakers back and forth, getting after it. It was fun to watch from up here, but through the 3 heats, how do you rate this weekend so far?
No, actually, Xander, I think it's been a lot stronger than whatever was known. Obviously, yeah, AJ and I went at it pretty hard in the first heat. Unfortunately, he was able to get the better of us, but we were right there with him the whole time. Second heat, I thought I did a pretty good job of kind of controlling my race and staying patient. And I was able to take the win there on track, but unfortunately, we had a little bit of contact on the way there, and we picked up an avoidable contact penalty, which dropped us to 4th. And then the last heat, we were a little bit off the mark. I think the hotter conditions at the end of the day didn't really suit our setup, so we kind of fell off the point of the attack there. But overall, I think it was solid. I mean, we did the important thing, which we finished all 3 heats. Important, considering AJ's reliability issue. But yeah, starting in 5th here for the main today, I think we have a pretty good shot at the win. We just got to make a couple adjustments after the warm-up, and I think we should be good.
Talking about the track conditions here this weekend as well, Coop, you have not been one of the drivers that's run every single race series under the sun, but, I mean, it looks like a repeat of Wisconsin about a month and a half ago with a little bit of rhino liner and a couple hairpins, a ton of rubber going down. What does it feel like out there as a driver, and what's the biggest challenge for you and Charlie Swain at Iron Rock to kind of get dialed in?
I think the biggest challenge really is just like the complete contrast of last year. Like, I came here last year and the whole week I was actually sick, and then we came here this weekend and it's the complete opposite. I feel like I've been stuck pretty much from the first session. We've been taking the grip out pretty much the whole weekend, so it's just kind of like going back on everything we learned last year and trying to kind of forget all of that and just approach it like it's a completely new track.
Lastly, Coop, before we let you go, I know we're not to the end of the season to the point where you're probably thinking championship, but what would it mean to you to be able to bring home this national title here in a month's time in Indiana?
Yeah, it would be pretty special, Xander. I mean, we've been so close the past 2 or 3 years. Whether it's a bit of bad luck or boneheaded mistakes on my part, we've kind of missed out. But I think, you know, just all this time that I've been working with Charlie and all the Iron Rock guys, it would be pretty special to me if we were finally able to put all the pieces together and come away with a championship. I know it's going to be hard because AJ is a really experienced and really quick guy, but hopefully we can get it done.
Well, we wish you best of luck here. You got 40 of you guys all lining up on the grid for the main event. I know you got to go back and learn what you can from that warm-up session. So, Coop, we appreciate the chat, buddy. And like I said, best of luck in today's main.
Thanks, Xander.
There you have it from Cooper Shipman, folks, the Iron Rock Motorsports Tony Kart driver. He ends up about mixed through the grid in morning warm-up, but again, not the most accurate read of what the track will be. Now, how about this kid, James Overbeck, Ohio native. He grew up and still lives just about 20 minutes down the road from this place. And the track that has watched him get his first national win a month prior, he came up about 5 feet short and ended up in the wall. And then back here as well a year ago, he got his first national championship. He's now a SCUSA Pro Tour champ, SCUSA Pro Tour race winner. He's a Stars Championship Series champ. He's also a Stars race winner. He's not yet a U.S. Pro Kart Series race winner, but he's second right now in the warm-up session at a circuit that has already been good to him throughout the summer stretch. I think he could be a real threat for the main event win here today, Caleb.
Yeah, no, definitely. Speaking of him earlier on this week on our episode of KC Grid Talk, he was saying that this is the last little thing on his checklist here. It's this and the Super Nats, obviously, the last 2 wins that he wants to get in his KA Senior career before he decides to move up. All he wants is a USPKS win this year to kind of cap it off and get a win in all the big three, and then hopefully a win later on this year in Las Vegas. But that being said, there for James Overbeck, your Mini Swift driver is getting set to come out onto the racetrack here. And all these guys and girls definitely delivered really, really good racing action. The likes of Vega, the likes of Ives, who unfortunately had issues. Ashton Woon, who has been fast all year long, just hasn't had that pace here today, unfortunately. Sorry, not today, earlier this weekend. Yesterday in the heat races, just kind of struggled, and his stride up the field was kind of stagnated just that little bit. But it's been action-packed all weekend long for all these drivers. Ben Gleberman's been getting into the mix and a lot more as well. But your championship points leader gets set to go into turn number 11, up the hill this time by.
Now, comparing those KA100 Senior times based on how they ended the day yesterday and the Saturday warm-up, let's look. We saw that the juniors were about 4/10 slower. Eli Warren ended that session at a 57.82 on the War Power Racing Privateer machine. In his final heat race on the day, Eli ended up, I believe, in the upper half, fourth with the fast time, 57.908. So a little bit faster, about a half-tenth to a full tenth better than heat number 3. And then looking back to Saturday warm-up yesterday, 57.79. So KA Junior was about 4/10 off. That last session for KA Senior was about dead on even. And maybe our minis will be the first group to kind of go a bit faster than they've gone through the weekend with the track, adding a bit of grip, getting to that kind of perfect point. It's almost like a bell curve, it seems, where you're building grip, building heat as it gets warmer and warmer and warmer, because obviously if you're driving on ice, a super cold surface, the kart's going to slide, not grip the racetrack. But then you kind of get past the peak and, over the edge. It's a bit too hot, gets a bit slippery, and the times kind of slow back down again. So maybe we're right around that prime perfect point. We might see some really quick times in that X30 Pro category coming up. That could be a new record there. Chatting with Nate Dean, looking at the progression from just a year ago. Cooper said he had to throw out the setup booklet from what they had last year when they were here with all the extra rubber and development that's gone into this place. But even from the Pro Tour and the Stars Championship Series, we're going faster than we ever have around the MCC Kartplex. There is so much speed in this racetrack.
Yeah, it only goes faster and faster, and for some guys, it almost gets more difficult to drive every time they come out here. So it's definitely keeping everybody on their toes and keeping everybody here very aware of how it's changing and trying to be ahead of the 8 ball here is definitely going to be important for all these drivers as well. So Royce Vega, Aston Wyatt, Ashton Woon all on the racetrack, towing together. Woon going on the inside there of Wyatt. He's able to get clear, so Woon going to lead this group. Vega looking to go through as well. So all these guys and girls just single file line for now. Nico Orbezo right behind Wyatt and looking to set in some lap times here early on in this warm-up session. That's just about 10 minutes here. So they're, this is a really long session, almost as long as their happy hour session from Friday afternoon. So this is, like I said earlier, the last chance kind of to test whatever you need to test and try whatever you need to try before the main event later on today.
Yeah, last couple of tweaks, and their main event here, the minis, is one of the first one, I believe, right before or right after the lunch break. Looks like they're going to be right beforehand, so at least they're running still before noon. For like X30 Junior, KA Masters, and X30 Pro, well, I mean, you've got them starting at 12:23 with the X30 Junior main. The Pros run at 1:33. And the warm-up's at 9:20. So they've got the biggest gap from their 2 sessions on Sunday, where they know that the conditions that they're going out in the morning are going to be vastly different. For the minis and the first couple of classes that have run through with no last chance qualifiers, everyone going through to the mains, I mean, it's not a bad turnaround. Only an hour 40 for Micro Swift. So that was probably pretty accurate for them from the warm-up to the main. And the same for the KA classes from 8:20 and 8:40. to 10:10 and 10:45, a 2-hour break. I mean, you don't expect all of a sudden the track to flip on its head in that kind of turnaround. But a 4-hour or 3.5-hour gap, well, it could change quite a bit. You see right now we've got a lot of shade and cloud cover there on that short chute from turn 3 to 4 and a bit more on the run out of 4 and 5 into the infield. The backside is fully in the sunshine and heating, but by the time we get to maybe main event number 1, if not then main event number 2, we expect that we're probably going to see a fully no cloud cover, no shade, fully sunshine lit up racetrack. Even that turn there at the back of the S's still covered by the shade of the tree line on the side of the circuit. Now Royce Vega on the Bennick, fastest as of last time around. 2,000's better than the points leader Ashton Woon, but that points lead, like we talked about with that one heat race where they had an engine issue and then had to go to the rear with an engine change, well, that's tightened things up. Parker Ives was right about neck and neck with him, and then Parker got spun at the end of the third and final heat race on the day. That hurt his chances. So both drivers in the championship top 2 having some rough goes in the heats. Royce Vega, third in the points coming in, about an extra, really a heat race worth back from Parker, assuming Parker had a bad day. Woon didn't have the best day either. Parker had a good start to the day. All 3 of those drivers could be very close if you do the math as to where they land going into today's main event. And even still, the main could swing a lot because the main event pays 400 points to win all the way through the grid. It's a, spread down. The heats only pay 100. So you could afford one bad heat race and then go out and win the main event and end up with a huge haul of points towards your championship total.
Yeah, definitely one of the things to look out for here for Ashton Woon, who, if he wants to kind of extend that lead, he's going to need a really good main event later on today. So keep an eye out on Ashton Woon. But Parker Ives, currently the quickest driver here this morning, a 101.836. So he was able to get the better of Vega that time around. So for Parker, again, up and down day yesterday, found himself well inside of the top 5, fighting for heat race victories. And then in heat race number 3, unfortunately, just all came unglued, and he found himself off the racetrack after contact with another driver. So unfortunate there for Parker Ives, but he has the main event today. You don't get any hardware for all the hard work you did yesterday in the heat races. You can only get it today if you cross the line in first through fifth, I should say, here this in this main event on this Sunday afternoon. So all these drivers still fighting. Maxwell Macha as well had a pretty good weekend getting himself in the mix and well inside of the top 10. And for Josh Bergman as well, he was your pole sitter. Him and Rocco Simone worked very well together yesterday, so we're looking forward to seeing them work together later on in the main event as well.
Lap 6 complete here in this warm-up session. The total distance allotted for all classes is about 7 to pushing 8 minutes in the 10-minute block, so they'll probably get about 2 more laps at speed. Marco Samet and the BJR crew are still hunting that first national win, but he's actually got a shot at a national championship in the same way that James Overbeck got his first season championship before he got his first main event win, because Marco enters the weekend also inside of the top 5. He trails Nico Orbezo, who is 5th. Those two a little ways back from the top 3, but based on kind of how they fared through the heats yesterday, how they'll line up for the grid today, they could also assert themselves to the point where they might be able to, maybe be in the championship conversation when we enter Newcastle Motorsports Park for the season finale in a month's time. And we know Newcastle, it's got a long straight just like here, but it has a couple of them and less low-speed stuff, which means this Mini Swift race that's already been a pack race here at MCC will be an even bigger pack race and more drivers involved, which just means there's more points that can go up and go down than a short track like Badger Kart Club or so, where you see a bit of a breakaway. So that being the season finale, that's like taking the NASCAR Cup Series to Talladega to round out the championship for these guys and girls. So it's going to be fun to watch the points swing all the way through those heat races. If you enter the weekend, at least mathematically, in the hunt, you will be in the hunt for sure.
Yeah, no, most definitely for that last race. But already checkered flag in the air for these Mini Swift drivers. When we come back, a couple of more sessions coming our way. You're watching Kart Chasers live coverage of the United States Pro Kart Series, round number 4.
This is Henry. Henry feels sad. Henry feels sad because it's time for his next big race and his go-kart is in bits. Henry doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing is the United States' #1 shop for all of your karting equipment needs. Henry also doesn't know that Acceleration Kart Racing can deliver anything from tires to race suits and even wheels directly to your front door or to the racetrack itself, quickly and efficiently, with tech support available 6 days a week. Poor Henry doesn't even know that Acceleration Kart Racing offers free shipping to mainland USA on selected product if you spend $200 or more. Do yourself a favor. Go to accelerationkarting.com and make sure that you are never left stuck on the pre-grid with Henry. Be smart and don't be like Henry.
Are you looking for an advantage in your competition? Well, Kart Class has done the hard work for you. We've traveled to your racetracks to give you the inside knowledge. So what does Kart Class offer? We've got drone footage that captures the racing lines, visual markers for your braking points, acceleration zones, and the best overtake opportunities on your racetrack. Pedal cam to show you where to brake and when to accelerate, and 360-degree footage to make sure you don't miss any parts on the racetrack. We've covered 13 racetracks in the United States, and Australia, you're up next. So visit kartclass.com to get your track information.
Are you ready to get behind the wheel? From Formula One to NASCAR and IndyCar, all the pros start here. For more information, check us out online at mcckarting.com or call us and go racing today. Back to the MCC Kartplex here with Speed Concepts Racing X30 Junior. In this division, well, SCR does have a driver leading the championship in Diego Ardiles. He had to work his way up the grid yesterday after kind of a so-so run in qualifying. All three heat races had to roll from outside the top five. He'd get into the top five, but the leaders were a bit too far away, so he ended third to fifth. And I think he's going to roll somewhere in the second row for today's main event. The points leader getting runs like that, you would think would still be good, and it's definitely not bad. But when you have Turner Brown and Enzo Vidmontien, who trail Diego in the championship, being the two drivers that went first and second through all three heat races, well, they made a little bit of a dent into the margin that he had built up. He entered this weekend 252 points ahead of Jackson Wolney. And granted, Turner and Enzo both have had a mixed bag. Chico winning a bunch of heats at the opening round of the championship in Houston, and then having the DQ in the main. Diego obviously winning that final was a bigger points haul than the 3 heat race wins. Then we, of course, rolled through the rest of the year. Enzo got the main event win in North Carolina. That was big. Ardiles fell off the podium there, but then he struck right back, and with a perfect score in Wisconsin, Diego Ardiles put it on pole, won all 3 heats, won the main. That's what's given him this huge lead over his teammate in Jackson Wolney. And yesterday, Turner Brown, Enzo Vidmontien, 2 wins for Turner, 1 win for Enzo. That was at least helpful, but they're so far back. They need to do the same, 1 to it in the main today, and hope that Diego has some rough luck, because Enzo enters the weekend 424 points out of the lead. Chico enters 581 out of the lead. It sounds like a lot. There's 725 points up for grabs on a weekend, so if this was the season finale, Caleb, mathematically they'd still be there, but 3/4 of a points haul over the 3 days is a huge gap to make up, especially when the bad day for Diego Ardiles is a 3rd, a 4th, a 5th. He's just so consistent. It's tough to beat that.
Yeah, you'd almost need a lot more, especially for a guy like Diego Ardiles. You need him to kind of, either wreck out in DNF in a couple of the heat races to really be able to get a good points haul and kind of claw back in the championship there. So, all to play for here for all these drivers, but class of the field, like you said, Enzo Vidmontien taking the fight at Chico Brown here this weekend, and everybody else just kind of on the back foot, looking to get up there and looking to stay with Chico Brown and Enzo Vidmontien. And Chico currently quickest by a good margin, 0.4 of a second at 58.830 for Chico Brown this morning.
That's a burner right there. I mean, that's a quick time from Turner Brown. The Rollison Performance Group with him leading the way in X30 Junior. Ryan Norberg obviously leading the way in X30 Pro. He's got a lot of teammates that are trying to close the gap. How about Fion Shi up to 3rd here in the warm-up? Right about a 10th off of Enzo, half second off of where Turner is. There's a look at the 786 of Fion Shi. Yesterday, a DNF heartbreak in one of the heat races on the final lap. The 3rd heat was a little better, I believe, for Fion. But with one bad heat race, he'll be kind of mid-grid, I think, somewhere in the back of the top 10 when they line up for the feature later on this afternoon. He just got bumped now down to 6th, as a few more drivers have hit their stride. Points leader Diego Ardiles went to 2nd. Ty Fisher went up and into 3rd. There is a look at the Nash Motorsports machine. I believe that might have been a Dean Peterson going by that we just followed there through the infield hairpin. But also into the top 5 was Fausto Arnado. So here's a look at Ty Fisher on the Race Lab TB. He's stayed in the top 5 most of this session. He's 3rd right now on the 738.
Yeah, just spinning up and down weekend so far for Ty Fisher on his TB kart machine. Just, has a lot of pace in KA. Had an unfortunate end to his 3rd heat race there in Junior. And then in the X30 class as well. I mean, it's been up and down. He's found himself just outside of the top 10, kind of fighting for scraps here and being in the mid-pack. Not where we're used to seeing him at all. So, when you look back to Trackhouse Motorplex earlier this year, he was really strong and definitely took the fight. Wow.
Whoa, man. I mean, sorry to interrupt you, Caleb. That was 3 wide, and Ardiles and Wolney about cleaned each other's clocks there in turn 4.
Man, oh man, that's not what you want to see there by Ardiles and Jackson Wolney, especially in the warm-up session when you have a main event. Fion Shi off the racetrack too. We're racing here in a morning warm-up. Ardiles there. Wow.
These kids are nuts right now. Chase Cassian nearly into the left side of Ty Fisher at the end of the back straightaway. My goodness. Right behind is the 756 Nash Motorsports entry, a Bristol Bourneman. A few more laps to go. That'll be the checkered. So there we go. End of the session, and a few of the quick ones have already bailed out. A lot of them bailing out that lap. Brown's going to finish the session. He'll put all 7 laps in. Ardiles headed for pit lane. So did Fion Shi. They won't go any better. Late lap from David Ramirez puts 3 Rollison Performance Group Cosmics into the top 5. He'll go 4th. Ty Fisher 5th. Murphy, Arnado, Vidmontien, Chase Gassiet Lee, and Dean Peterson conclude the top finishers in X30 Junior warm-up presented by Speed Concepts Racing. The fastest kid through the weekend, fastest again here on Sunday morning by over 3/10 there. Late lap for Michael McGoy. He'll jump there into the top 10. But that will conclude the warm-up session for X30 Junior. KA Masters is on deck. While we wait on them, though, we had the really cool privilege to get to take a tour through the Brandon Jarsacrack Racing and Mike Doty Racing tent operation a little while ago. We were able to have team owner Brandon Jarsacrack kind of lead us through Oh, sorry, we don't have that on the broadcast yet. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's actually switch gears. Let's go to chatting with, actually, from Speed Concepts Racing, your championship points leader, an X30 Pro, Austin Garrison. Yesterday, he ended with a heartbreak in that third and final heat race, colliding with Brandon Carr, but he had been having 2 good heats, making up for a rougher qualifying, and we spoke to him at the end of the day on Friday.
Austin, you come in this weekend with a big championship points lead. I know you're probably not thinking about that too much right now after the qualifying session, only 9th. Just walk me through your weekend and that qualifying.
Yeah, no, we've been super fast all day yesterday and majority of today up until qualifying. We didn't really go over too much. We didn't really pull up data and go and really see exactly what happened. We was kind of just scratching our heads. We know it's not something that's too crazy. It's just a bad qualifying, I guess. We've been, like I said, we've been fast all weekend until qualifying, but I know it's not anything major, so we'll go and see it tomorrow.
Yeah, and I mean, exactly that, right? I guess that's my next point. Tomorrow, a whole different day. You actually got to go a lot longer than 5 laps in that qualifying session. You got the car to be able to get up there and I guess fight your way up the field.
Yeah, like our pace has been like really quick, and even during the whole entire session or 7-8 laps that we've been running, that my fastest laps have been nearing towards like lap 6 on, and I feel like the car's geared up for more of like a long run term, but I really feel like that the racing tomorrow is going to be really tight. There's going to be like a lot of blocking going on. The kids who are more up front now is not going to let Ryan, he's been wicked fast all weekend, and I really don't think they're going to go and let him try to pull away at all. They're going to be pretty, it's going to be pretty aggressive.
Well, sounds good. And I guess last thing I'll ask here, obviously, elephant in the room, the championship, obviously very looking promising for you, and you need a good weekend to put it together to kind of close it out. So how much would that mean to you, I guess, to get your first national championship here this year?
Right, yeah, that's, if I can go and, get this done after this weekend, it was a huge, weight off of my shoulders. I mean, going into the final round, still like, we still got to go and finish in top 5 and I'll have to go and win. It's likely not going to be that. But if I have a pretty calm and smooth weekend to go and actually, get this win and win the whole series, that'd be amazing. For the whole team, it would be massive. So hopefully we can go and secure it this weekend and don't really have to worry about it too much for the following race and just go out there and just focus on just winning.
Oh yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you.
There you hear from Austin Garrison on the Speed Concepts Racing machine. It was cool to catch up with him. Caleb, you obviously were the one going down and chatting with the points leader yesterday. A rougher end to what was such a good weekend going that he would have had a slim shot at even mathematically clinching the title by the time he would have left Cincinnati. It would have been wild.
Yeah, and you heard it there in his interview. He kind of just wanted that pressure off his shoulders, after this weekend and not having to worry about that going into Newcastle Motorsports Park. So, it's just something that Austin, I guess, didn't have on his bucket list. DNFing in heat race number 3 after contact with him and Brandon Carr took him out, took Carr out as well. And, Garrison obviously wasn't happy with Brandon, and Brandon, being the guy that he is, took complete responsibility for the crash. And, those two kind of got over it quick, and they're ready to go racing later on today in the main event.
Let's talk about someone else who's ready to get racing in the main event. Ryan Norberg is lining up on the grid for warm-up right now. We also caught up with him. He'll be leading us to green with 2 heat wins and a P2 in heat number 3 yesterday. But before the racing got underway, we also got to chat with the reigning number 1 plate about his season so far and this weekend here in Cincinnati.
Ryan, been quick all weekend long. Didn't get the pole in qualifying. Just walk me through how kind of your weekend's been up to this point.
Yeah, we've been fast. It's just obviously, qualifying didn't go how we'd like it to go. We didn't. It's those 5 lap runs they're difficult, and in the last lap somebody went off in the back, and so it kind of messed us up. But car was quick. He found some speed there after that last session, and he put on a good time. So we got our work cut out for us with these guys. They're definitely quick. The track's really gripped up from the last time we were here. The times are just really fast, and so we got some work to do. But I think we got a piece that can compete.
Yeah, lastly, I mean, you've had a good year so far, obviously, SCUSA Pro Tour champ, but hasn't been, I guess, the year you would have wanted here at the United States Pro Kart Series. Obviously, 2 DNFs in the last couple of rounds. Kind of walk us through that. You know, you're further back in the championship. We saw what you did at SCUSA, so how are you feeling coming into this one, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's a little bit of a longer shot, if that's possible, but I think, you know, we've got to just, I mean, at this point, it really kind of takes the stress off us. We don't have a lot to, like, lose. With the 2 DNFs, it's really like we either go for the win or we don't do anything. So for us, it's, you know, it's no real pressure. It's not our race to lose. It's not our championship to lose.
Yeah, I mean, lastly here, I mean, we saw what happened at the SCUSA Pro Tour whenever, I guess, your motor let go in that race, and then last year as well here at MCC, you know, had a lot of pace, we just couldn't get the win done. How much would it mean, I guess, to finally get that win here at MCC?
It'd be good. I mean, that's that monkey on my back that I just can't, for some reason, win here. So I think, you know, so far we've got the pace, we got the kart. We just gotta get it done.
Sorry, everybody cut you in line, so we'll let you go. Sorry.
My spot. Thanks, guys.
There you go from the man himself, Ryan Norberg, looking to check off a race win at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati. Another driver that it would mean a lot, I'm sure, to win today. Clay Settles is pulling into the scale line early from warm-up. Not the way I would imagine he would have liked to start today, specifically because it's his birthday. We'd like to pass along a happy birthday to Clay Settles over in the Top Kart camp, and maybe we'll get to chat with him later on. But right now, I'm sure he's not maybe in the best of moods. Pulling in this early in the warm-up usually means there's something amiss. And, well, he only did 3 laps and is about a half second off the pace of Laurentiu Mardan. But we'll wait till maybe he feels a little bit better and then try to catch up with the multi-time now KA Masters race winner probably has one of the best batting averages on the national scene of any driver, period, because his KA Masters debut, he won on debut back at the Newcastle Motorsports Park last summer. For Laurentiu Mardan, this one a good session, 59.221. Andy Kutcher as well. There's Larry going on by on Martin Stone. He was 3rd, Mark it 4th, as Nicky Coelho puts a good lap in. And he'll end the session, probably all 3 of them. It looks like they're, well, a little bit of hand signals through all 3 of them. Looks like Larry did not want to give any bit of tow or advice to those drivers. So he said, yeah, no, I'm going around, go on by. And Martin has said, okay, all right, that didn't work. I wanted to follow. You won't let me follow? I'll go drive.
Yeah, so now Martin Stone going to lead the pack away here. And that was, I guess, a little bit of an awkward moment there on that straightaway on the exit of turn number 3. But we're still driving around here. Laurentiu Mardan there, 4th in line. Robbie Bajoso, 2nd in line here. And leading us away is the Brit, Martin Stone, out in front. And a couple of other drivers out there. Miguel Mir out there in 7th here at the moment. Austin Queen as well, who had issues yesterday. And the Carapolati brothers as well. And Bajoso coming into the pit lane here. He's going to end his warm-up session early.
Robbie Boydishow was a last-second fill-in ride this weekend. He put it on the pole. Just watch below as Robbie pulled into the scale line as well. His teammate A.J. Myers watching on. The Magic Karts were 1st in KA Senior and 1st in KA Masters qualifying. Robbie, solid day yesterday, but the field certainly caught up. Martin Stone, Nicky Coelho, Andy Kutcher, they all brought the fight to him. Clay Settles was good yesterday. Austin Queen had a couple good heats. The last heat didn't look so good for him. But there's anywhere, I think, from 6 to 7 drivers that could all be challenging for the race win later this afternoon. Laurentiu Mardan, the one with the most momentum based on how warm-up is going right now. Fastest by a 10th and really fastest by 3/10 over everyone else. Here's Coelho and Stone pushing. Mardan following. Let's see if they go any better at the checkers. They're all going to finish their laps. The same for Paul Elefante behind and Austin Queen. But nothing. No movement there in the front group. Elefante will go a little better. Queen will go a little bit better, but still a good ways back from the top 5. 3/10 from there and a half second from there to get to Mardan. So that concludes KA Master warm-up from Sunday morning. X30 Pro is on grid. The last of our drivers that we chatted with on Friday was Cooper Shipman. We obviously talked to him this morning as well. But here were his thoughts also from earlier in the weekend here.
Cooper Shipman, championship points leader in KA Senior, finishing second in qualifying today. Firstly, I mean, it's been a good year for you nonetheless, right? Was planning to be a partial schedule after Speed Sports running the whole year, but finding yourself in the lead of the points here this weekend, and yeah, it's a different one. You've been here before, but just kind of walk me through how your weekend's been so far.
Yeah, we, you know, I've had a pretty slow start to the weekend, I'd say. We kind of struggled with the setup early on, but we just kind of, me and the Iron Rock Motorsports boys really worked on the setup, kind of been dialing it in all weekend. Kind of got it to where we wanted it for qualifying, but still need to find a little bit if we want to compete in the races.
And I mean, I guess that's the next thing I was going to ask you, right? You kind of took the words right out of my mouth. What do you kind of need to, I guess, stay up there with AJ and a couple of other guys? You know, that field's going to be very close all weekend long, so what do you need to kind of stay up at the front?
Yeah, you know, a lot of those guys up front are pretty fast. There's probably 10 or 12 people that can run up front at any given point. I think the key here is just going to be being able to make your kart last the entire session, right? So there's going to be a bunch of guys that are going to be able to be fast the first 5 laps, the last 5 laps. But I think the people that are going to be able to get their things to work for like 8 laps are going to be the people that are ending up to pull away at the front and come away with a win at the end of the day.
And lastly, I know you finished, I guess, just short of, I guess, made a national championship to Elio, who was able to get it done. So I guess how much would it mean to you to, you know, able to clinch a national championship here this year at the United States Pro Kart Series?
Yeah, it would mean a lot. Obviously, me and Elio were pushing each other pretty hard last year. We probably would have been in a better chance to compete with him going into the final round at Trackhouse, but we had a mechanical failure here last year. We had a steering bolt snap, which kind of put us behind the 8 ball a little bit. But I think, obviously, for me and this entire team, we've been working with each other for so long now. Like, to finally bring a championship home and probably one of my last years in karting would be really special to me.
Sounds good. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Back on circuit now, X30 Pro warm-up just about to get underway. Let's take a look at the official track map presented by Kart Class from the MCC National Circuit here. Caleb, why don't you walk us through the lap here? At the end of that 1,000-foot straightaway, you head down to turn number 1.
Turn number 1, it's one of the biggest passing zones that we have here. You can try it on the inside. The outside probably not going to work too much with how dirty everything is offline. The first real passing opportunity here. Turn number 2, a hairpin here. A lot of drivers getting late on the brakes, trying to go deep and send it in pretty deep, but it's also not that hard to hold it onto it around the outside because turn 3 is a quick right-hander that's going to put you on a straightaway here to another big passing zone in turn number 4. A lot of moves being made on the inside line here as well, bottom of the racetrack. Anything on the top side of the racetrack is super difficult to hold on to with how dirty it is. And you go 5, which is just a little kink that goes into 6 and 7. Another hairpin here that promotes a lot of passing, and you see a lot of drivers trying to set up over-under moves going into the S's here in turns number 8, 9, and 10. And turn number 11, it's probably the most difficult corner to pass in, but when you get a move done there, I know it definitely feels satisfying. And then you go back to the back straightaway, you rock it up the hill. When you come down, turn number 12, a sweeping left-hander with a whole lot of grip here, Xander. A lot of moves in this corner. You can go on the inside, you can go on the outside, and set yourself up for turn number 13. And this is probably one of the sections where if you set it up perfectly, you won't lose that much time. So turn 13 goes into turn number 14. And that's, you know, always a lot of side-by-side action coming through there. And then 15 and 16 promotes drag races all the way to the finish line. So that's a lap on the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati National Circuit.
With the X30 Pros onto the racetrack, we're following Luis Speck here. Quick driver in the third heat, not so quick in the first 2. But it was the toughest way to show his speed because he had a DQ for rear track width out of regulation. At the end of qualifying. He qualified in the top 5 overall and then had to start 19th for all 3 heat races. Had a great march into nearly the top 5 yesterday. He ended up down in 8th, but he got to 5th for a second. And then the battles kind of shuffled him backwards. Now, we're following Austin Garrison. We talked to him earlier in the weekend, talked to him a little bit yesterday also. The 329 SCR Red Speed. It's crazy to think about, but he has never won a regular season Pro Division title. Neither has Speed Concepts Racing. They both would do it together for their first time if they can continue to build on this championship lead and head to Trackhouse Motorplex with enough of a margin that really all they got to do is to Newcastle Motorsports Park. I keep thinking we're going to North Carolina. We're going there with our next major events. The Miami Grand's coming up at the end of the month. Stars Night Fight. We're going back to Indiana for the finale. We've already been in North Carolina with the U.S. Pro Kart Series, but when he rolls into Newcastle Motorsports Park, a track where he won at last year with the U.S. Pro Kart Series, that's a lot less stress, like he said, a lot less anxiety about what could go wrong on the weekend. Carter McMurray in the Timmy Tech Comp Car. Yesterday, he did get, unfortunately, an avoidable contact penalty that we saw in the scale line, but he crossed the line 5th. I don't know if that penalty stuck or not. 6th in qualifying. Top 10s in the heat races. This kid is impressive for his first time going head-to-head with all these drivers. And he admitted on the grid, not a lot of kids will, but Carter was very open. He's like, yeah, no, to be honest, I mean, these guys are really, really good at what they do. He's like, I'm a little bit nervous to go out for this first heat race. I thought that was really cool how open he was. The son of NASCAR Daytona 500 champion, Brickyard 400 champion, and the list goes on for Jamie McMurray. Jamie's just a karting dad here this weekend, working with Tim Schutt, Team Timmy Tech, and they've got Carter on his senior debut, his X30 Pro debut, on the national scene. Super fast, super quick, great quality, and hopefully he can get himself up and into the top 5 in this warm-up. There's a look at Jamie watching on the time charts down there next to Brandon Jarsacrack, who's got Paulie Massimino that just went to the top of the pylon here. Caleb?
Yeah, Paulie Massimino has had a good weekend so far. Kind of been, silently working his way up and up and up and building speed, trying different things on that chassis. And he tried something different in heat race number 3 that they felt happy with. Spoke to his dad, Paul, yesterday, and he was telling me that they were just kind of, slowly but surely finding the little bits and pieces that they needed, putting everything together to try and take the fight up to ADT and Ryan Norberg. And he's all over the rear bumper here of Austin Garrison in the morning warm-up. So whatever he found overnight is definitely working here. And from what Paulie told me, from what his dad told me as well, is it's going to be a very, very long main event. You need to have a car that can last you all 20 laps.
Right now, he and Austin Garrison are at least getting a lot of clean laps in. They're not getting 20. They're going to get about 7. But you saw the two of them working together, and that's why they're running as good as they are. Alessandro DiTullio was a bit of a surprise yesterday in that 3rd heat race. He was great on cold tires, got to the lead, and at points it looked like he was actually just as fast as the rest of the pack, whereas it felt like he was more of a 4th to 6th place car through heats 1 and 2. Granted, towards the end of that heat, he really began to defend and kind of slow himself and Ryan Norberg up. That backed them close to Paulie and his teammate Harley Keeble, which maybe was also partly by design. But ADT with a win in Heat 3 will start right towards the pointy end of the grid here today. Keeble had one kind of so-so heat and got into the mix with Brandon Carr, I believe, in that 3rd one. And right now, he is a bit further down. So is DiTullio. DiTullio 7th. Keeble down in 11th. Norberg's fastest. Paulie's 2nd. And there is the top qualifier, Brandon Carr in the 326 with that crash in the 3rd heat race yesterday after 2 second places in heats 1 and 2. He'll be maybe 5th or 6th here on the grid, maybe further back for the main. Right now, 3rd here in the warm-up session.
Yeah, 3rd here in the warm-up session for Brandon Carr. He's, arguably been the quickest driver on the racetrack here, but the only other guy who has kind of been matching his speed so far and been the class of the field is Ryan Norberg, as well as ADT. But yeah, for Flying Ryan, he's had a good weekend, and ADT thought that he wasn't fully pushing, kind of biding his time and being patient, knowing that he already had the pole position with Brandon Carr being off the racetrack. So, we're going to find out today how much he was, sandbagging or leaving on the table. So we'll see from Flying Ryan here in a couple of moments' time.
Yeah, this warm-up is a scary, scary sign of what we may be in for in that main event for everyone that is not part of the Norberg Nation. 3.5 tenths clear. Now it's going to close up a little bit to 2 tenths, but Ryan's probably about to go even faster. Let's watch him if he goes better this time by the line. Here comes Speck. He'll finish the lap. Norberg will as well. Couple drivers bailing in. Yeah, Norberg went even better. 55.153. And yesterday we didn't even get to see him run in warm-up because he had an engine issue on the outlap, had to go straight to the scale line, turned around, came back, won the opening heat race. And that was, again, with no warm-up laps. Now he's fastest by 2.5 tenths. He's starting on the pole. How many times have we watched this guy roll from P1 on the grid and dominate a main event? It is more than I can think of any driver in any similar situation. And most of his wins come from that fashion. He's not necessarily the guy that's going to, throw it 3 wide, white line and whatnot. But he is the guy that if you give him an opportunity to put clean laps in, consistent laps in, hit his marks and not make a mistake, he's going to drive away.
Yeah, and a lot of drivers, all the rookies, always mention how almost perfect these guys are, kind of like robots, and putting in lap time after lap time after lap time. Can he go any better that time? He goes a tenth slower. How to make a move. So for flying Ryan Norberg, this is exactly what he wants out of his morning warm-up session. Quickest. ADT in second, Brandon Carr third, Massimino fourth, and Austin Garrison rounds up your top 5. So it looks to be almost exactly your top 5 in the championship here, the top 5 in morning warm-up. You're back to Sons Fernandez, Harley Keeble, the other interim S7th, Nicholas Terlecki. Found some speed earlier early this morning here, 8th, Louis Speck 9th, and Gavin Bailiff running up your top 10.
2.5 tenths. That's the margin exiting the practice session that Ryan Norberg has over everyone on the circuit. Who knows where they were on tire runs? It's to run whatever you want to run tire set wise. So maybe RPG opted to go for a sticker set of MG yellows, whereas the rest of the group went on scuffs. But in any case, if you're just looking at the result sheet, it's a bit concerning for sure. There's the top 15. Further back, you'll find the rest of the field from X30 Pro all the way down to the bottom of the sheet here from morning warm-up, ending with Austin Perrin in 20th. Carter McMurray a bit off there in that session. Something maybe amiss for the comp kart driver that was in the top 10 all day yesterday, 19th for the Timmy Tech 340 entry, just behind Brian Garcia, Henry Lepard, and Josh Holtz, who had a couple of top 10 runs yesterday also. He ends 16th. That concludes the free coverage here for the morning with warm-ups. We'll be moving over to the main event live stream here and getting ready to go main event racing, kicking things off with the micro Swifts and mini Swifts and KA Juniors in the first half of our day.